So today we are going to discuss something unusual. I am matters. We're going to learn how to build this mindset with Lorraine. Lorraine, could you please introduce yourself and what do you do for business?
All right, thank you so much. And thank you to your audience as well for tuning in. My name is Lorraine Nelson. I live in Jamaica. I am a speaker and a mindset coach. And the nature of my business name is My I Am Matters Ministries. And what we do at My I Am Matters Ministries, we help people create a positive affirmation. That's an I am statement. So we have a template. The individuals create their own statement, and the statement is branded on t-shirts or any apparel they wish, and it's sold back to them for their everyday wear. But the beginning of the statement has to be I am. And we really are doing that just to empower people, to let them know that they should speak positively over themselves every single day. Outside of that, I do one-on-one coaching. I'm a certified speaker and coach with the John Maxwell team. I'm also trained by world-renowned Les Brown as well. So I do speaking on a daily basis.
That's excellent. So my first question here is, what kind of I am or I am positive sentences do you usually write?
Okay, I can say my own. I have several, but the template consists of three nouns, 3 action verbs, and 3 adjectives. So a typical mine is I am a godly, inspirational, and unstoppable Christian visionary and billionaire that leads people to reach their potential and make a difference.
Oh, wow.
So that's a typical I am. It sounds long, but you can make it whatever you want to make it.
So my question here, how do you plan this sentence affects people's minds and attitude?
Well, I believe that speaking positively over yourself influences your mindset. Studies show that mental health is important, and your positive self-talk helps you. What you declare over yourself actually manifests. Some of my declarations have manifested. And this is when you speak, look yourself in the mirror and say something good about you. 1, you feel good. 2, if you repeat it often enough, you start to believe it, even if in the beginning it seemed impossible or like a lie, but it's an excellent lie that you believe after a while if you continue to say it. So it's the art of learning is repetition. And the art of this business is to repeat what you want to see in your life consistently. And once you do that consistently, it becomes a part of you, and then it becomes second nature. It's essentially writing your future.
So my question is, why do people need a positive sentence?
Why do people need positive sentence? I laugh when you say that, because have you seen what's taking place in the world today? Have you seen the American Psychological Society? I read somewhere that it said that 87% of our self-talk is negative. Now, if 87% of our self-talk is negative, it means that we have a running conversation every single day in our mind with ourselves, and that is negative. The only way to combat those negative is to start speaking positively. So it's almost as if we're wired by society, by what we were taught, by things in our subconscious mind that we didn't have any control over, but that forms our behavior. And those things characterize our actions. Now, in order for us to combat everything that's the external influence, what's happening in the news, there's so many things that are happening external to us that we don't necessarily have control over, but we have control over our mind, what we think about and what we say to ourselves. And that can effectively guide how we live. And that is the reason for My I Am Matters Ministries. And that's why we have a campaign. We go on to all the schools all over Jamaica, and we actually have a campaign to issue 1 million I Am shirts to young people. We have started and we have issued several already, just for them to cultivate an attitude of speaking positively over themselves and owning a statement about you that says, I am the best, because we were created as limitless. But a lot of us don't believe that for some strange reason.
So my question here is, you spoke about the internal side and the external side. So like our beliefs, our understanding of ourselves, this is the subconscious. This is what guides us. And then you are asking everyone to write a positive sentence. How do you guarantee that this sentence can affect, can affect their internal thinking and the internal mindset? How can it go to their subconscious? That is my question.
Well, once you start to write something, once you write, that's why I love the Bible, and the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. When you write something, what you're doing is you're reinforcing. So what we do, we actually literally give you a template and we give you a series of words. A ton of words are on it, and you get to choose the word that you believe best describes who you are. There's no word on that sheet of paper that is negative. Everything is something empowering, and it pushes you to right now, let me see what word here best describes how I operate on a daily basis, what I do, what do I think my strengths are. It's literally forcing you to have that conversation with yourself. So writing is actually reinforcement, and that's how I believe it affects the subconscious mind.
So my
The
question,
reprogramming of a previous belief system, reprogramming.
so my question here, like, okay, this sentence gives an indication to their minds and their psyche to take another direction. However, the world itself gives a lot of indications for the people to take the positive directions, but they don't follow. Why is this sentence a guarantee that they will follow the positive path? Do you get my question?
Yes, the truth of the matter is, we don't guarantee that you are going to follow a positive path. What I am saying is, it has been proven to work. Studies show that when you speak positively over yourself and if you do it repeatedly, a habit develops after 21 days of repeating the same thing. Now, what you're doing is shifting the way you think. And if you do it consistently, it's automatically going to happen. So you're shifting your behavior by what you repeat. So the art of it is in repetition. Now, if we craft an I am statement and you decide that you're going to say it consistently, then that works. If you do not, I can give you a typical example. I have been speaking over myself for the last, I would say, 2 years. I got up one morning and I stood up and I made a declaration in my own mirror that I am going to receive my first speaking engagement paid as a certified trainer with the John Maxwell team. I declared it, I believed it, and I said that in my mirror. And I was there, I kept declaring. And one day I was just at home and I got a phone call from a friend that said to me, she has a speaking engagement for me. It was with a large corporate entity, and the entity needed someone and they called on her. She was unable, but because she knows what I do, there's a relationship. She called on me and it manifested. The manifestation happened. I already spoke it. It was in the atmosphere. God and his angels stood and they said, yes, Lorraine has spoken this. Now let's make manifestation happen. So it's important what we speak. You can decide that you're going to speak negatively and watch that manifest. It's a choice that you make. We make the choice to continue to speak. And I've seen manifestation. I've said I'm a global speaker. I'm going to be on the global stage. I speak that world renowned, and I see manifestation taking place in my own life. So I'm not doing anything that has not been proven. And the word of God says that we should decree a thing and he will establish it. No. What do you decree? It's a choice that you make. I have made a choice. My clients have made a choice, and it has been working for us.
That is awesome. So my next question here, you mentioned the consistency with this practice. What are the main requirements for this practice to be successful?
Well, what I recommend is for reinforcement. You do this on average twice a day. You wake up in the morning and you get up, and you should have a morning routine. I encourage everyone. Routines enforces and creates discipline, which is critical for anyone's success. So that's a part of my early morning routine, what I say to myself. So I have my meditation and prayer, I go into, and I have my quiet time, and then I speak over myself. And I do this before I settle in for bed, because what I'm doing, I'm forcing my mind, even in the context of going to rest, what I want it to focus on, what I want to reinforce. So that is my recommendation, once in the morning and once before you go down. And you must do it when you're relaxed, not in the hustle and bustle of the day when there's so many things happening. When you're relaxed, that's what I recommend.
So my question here, you mentioned the word force 2 times until now. Why is it so difficult to direct our minds into the positive direction?
I believe it's difficult for us because we are not necessarily functioning at our highest level of thinking or awareness. We are told that we have 5 general senses: the feeling, the tasting, the seeing. Those are our general senses. But our highest mental faculty is at the level of our imagination, where we start to use what our Creator has given us. But we focus on what we see in our environment, because we think in pictures. As you know, if you're thinking of a car now, what you're going to be thinking is, you're thinking there's a red car, it has those rims, and you can see the leather seat. We think in pictures. So we're literally thinking about what we see around us. And it affects us, especially if it is negative. It affects us in that way. And that is why our minds have become programmed to think what we are seeing, and also what people say. We are affected generally by what people say about us. You notice how sometimes you struggle with your self-image. You want to have a conversation, you want to do something, you want to step out and do something bold, and sometimes the first thing you think about is what somebody's going to say about you, what other person's opinions are. So we are affected by our environment and the things that we see. Now, in order for us to change that narrative, one, we have to become consciously aware that these things actually affect us, and it's guiding our behavior. We're operating on autopilot, whether or not we want to. And these are the things that we're taught by our parents, our ancestors, things that they did not know, because if they're not at this level of awareness, they are just operating based on what they were taught. And these things happen, and it comes through all our generation, and we accept these norms and we operate therein. And that is why every single person in the world is not a bestseller, is not a world-renowned athlete, is not a multi-billionaire. Only a few persons have done it, because only some persons have figured out that we were created by God in His image and likeness, and we have greatness within us, and anything He says about us, that is what we should believe, because He is our manufacturer. We should not be guided by anyone's opinion or thoughts of what we should be. We should be guided by the original, the Creator, and what He says about us. And that is why we have these difficulties.
So my question is,
it's just coming to a level of awareness, going to a higher mental faculty.
So my question here is, when do our minds get the reward? When can we say that someone is successful?
Well, what I can say about someone being successful is defined in so many different ways by some persons. Some persons would say success for them is happiness, being truly one with who you are, being happy with looking in the mirror and just being satisfied with who God created you to be, impacting the world, giving, not living just for yourself, but giving to others as well, understanding that you are created and all your experiences are shaping you to impact the world, where you live a life that is selfless, and it's not necessarily about your financial gains, because a lot of persons measure their success by their financial gains. But for me, success is walking, understanding and appreciating, acknowledging your God-given purpose on this earth and walking in that purpose. Not all of us seek to understand and discover what that is, but if we can do that, it means that what you're saying is, God created me, He placed me on the earth for this particular thing, and I am walking in and doing that thing. And to me, being one with our Creator, understanding why He created us to be here and carrying out that task, that to me is success. So when somebody comes to the place in their lives where they can acknowledge that this is our mission here on earth, to do what God has created us to do. I think it is John Maxwell that says there are two important days in our lives: the day that we were born, and the next day is the day that we realize why we were born. And I really believe that wholeheartedly. When you realize why you were created and operate in that calling or that gifting, then you would have lived your success.
That is awesome.
That's my definition.
That is great. And what would be your main recommendations for people watching you?
My main recommendation for persons who are watching is, first, it's important for you to discover who you are as an individual. So I always recommend quiet times with yourself. I usually recommend a personality test because those are very helpful in determining what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what makes you tick, because sometimes we're exhibiting behaviors that we don't quite understand. And when we have that conversation with those tests, it forces us to say, oh, that's the reason I do that. I recommend that everyone gets a coach, somebody to help you, to guide you along the way. I'm a coach and I have a coach. We all need a coach, somebody to hold you accountable, to push you beyond your comfort zone, because we get so relaxed at times, and we want to make sure that we are living outside of our comfort zone. And I definitely recommend a personal relationship with God, be one with your Creator, understanding what He wants you to do, praying, meditating, quiet time, spending time with yourself to understand. That is when God, your Creator, speaks to you. And that is when you'll know how to operate and silence the noises, freeze out what I call the energy vampires, people who are going to speak negatively about you, about your dreams and your goals and your desires. Control your environment. Control the persons that you associate with. I always say your relationships should pay you. If your relationship is not paying you, it's really not worth having. And I'm not telling you that some people should get up and give you cash. What I'm saying that they must be adding value to your life. Les Brown would say that you should maintain this principle, OQP, only quality people. And that is something that I hold dear. I guard my space. That is really what I would recommend.
That is perfect. Is there anything else you would like to add about this talk today?
I just want to tell you thanks for the opportunity to speak to you, to speak to your audience. And 2021 is coming up. I'm not sure if anyone has already crafted their goals, have figured out what is it that they want to do, but you should have already crafted your goals. But if you have not, it's not too late. If you want to connect with me for one-on-one coaching session, I'm at Walker Nelson Lorraine on Instagram. And of course, my website is lorraineawnelson.com. Just find me and let us talk about it, because I believe that there's greatness in all of us and it is waiting to happen. And I am definitely here to help anyone who needs help.
That has been awesome, and I'm really honored talking to you, Lorraine. Thank you so much for that indeed.
All right, take care.